So hi I'm going to post. Yeah. So hi everyone. We are going to talk about InsuredMine expert panelists. We have John Young, Larry Spears for A Young Insurance Agency, and Jennifer Powell, Deeley Insurance Group. So we bring them because they are going to talk us about. They are expert in InsuredMine, but also one thing that I need to mention is that A Young at the first moment was InsuredMine customer, and then decide to move to another platform, and now they are back with InsuredMine. Mm-hmm. So, Larry, if you want to share your screen, and we can start.
I got it, Larry.
I mean, John, Larry, John.
But of course. Okay, can you guys see the screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay, very good. Good afternoon, everybody. And I just want to say thank you to InsuredMine and everybody.
Sorry, Larry, we are seeing your chat, so we are not seeing your screen with the presentation.
You're not seeing mine?
No, I can see, we can see your
We're looking
presentation.
at the other screen that you have, the other monitor.
I'm sorry, what are you seeing?
Your Gmail. There we go.
Oh, okay. You see that? Okay, I got you.
Now we see it.
Okay, I got you. I moved it. Okay, sorry about that. Okay,
right.
Getting back to where I was. Good afternoon, everybody. Appreciate everybody, and I really appreciate the fact that you're calling me an expert. I can't really call myself that, but we have gained a lot of experience. First of all, my name is John Young. I'm the owner and principal of A Young Insurance in Waterford. And with me is my top agent / IT / marketing guy, Larry Spears. I wouldn't be able to do any of this without him. So he's the
I'm gonna mark it as slideshow. So on the screen, sorry, just
do you not see my slideshow anymore?
we see the screen without the slideshow, so we're just.
Oh, that's not good. All right, hang on.
Yeah, just click to the next slide.
Oh, I got you. Okay. Get scribbles on the screen. All right. Sorry about that. That's not where we want to be.
Oh.
What the hell is going on here? Oh boy.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right, I'm getting Jennifer Powell's old, I gotta pause this for 1 second. I'm sorry. Okay, so sorry about that. Okay. I know this was gonna go like this. Okay, A Young Insurance, we're personal lines 80%, commercial lines about 20%, 3 million in premium. We have 9 employees. Why do we choose InsuredMine? After comparing all the best competition that's out there, we actually started off with InsuredMine and went to the other competitions, and the things that we thought that we could do without with InsuredMine or that we really needed, we went to the other 2 competitors and they could not even come close to what InsuredMine offered. In fact, anytime that we would ask them to change or help us out with something, they pretty much said, this is the way it is. And InsuredMine is completely opposite of that. So before InsuredMine, this was us. It's like trying to row a rowboat across the ocean. Doesn't work out very well. Our first goal was to learn the system and adapt the process that our team could use and give the best client experience with the most efficient workflow. And hang on a second. Second goal is to maximize the use of automation for marketing, sales, and retention. And I want to move this over here. I want to slide this over here. You guys see my screen?
Yes, but we see your agent Yeah, but we
Maybe
are
a slide behind you.
overview,
I'm sorry, you're seeing what?
agency overview.
I need to expand this.
Yeah, we may be one slide behind you.
All right, hold on a second. Larry, how do I
Tamara's
expand
only
this?
seeing black, so she's not seeing the screen share.
All right, just 1 second. We're having some technical difficulties.
You
Larry.
know how technology is.
Huh?
Said that's
Yeah.
technology.
Man, I had this already, I swear. I don't know what's going on here. All right, Larry's gonna share his screen. This was a fail. Whoops. All right. Please do pardon the interruption. I can't even get my, there we go. Gosh, dang it. Thank you, Larry. Good Lord. Okay, so there's my one-liner opener. Okay, pass that up. Please go to the next screen, Larry. Okay, goals were to learn our process by diving in deep to the system ourselves and try to work out every single scenario we could possibly imagine that anybody in our team would be going through in adapting a process that everybody could use and use efficiently. Next, please, Larry. Maximize the use of automation of marketing, sales, and retention, which we are probably about 30% of using the technology that's available. We're just scratching the surface, like Jennifer said. In fact, a lot of props to Jennifer. I watched her in the first iMug, and we actually learned a lot from her. And I thought her presentation, Michael, and everybody else that did their presentations earlier were fantastic. A lot of collaboration, a lot to learn from in these meetings. Our third goal was to collect and use data for sales goals, retention, marketing, and training. For the obvious reasons, everybody wants to know where their sales are at, retention, marketing. There's the limits are unlimited to what you can do with their automation and marketing. Next, please. Yeah, time to loosen up. That was like 3 minutes ago. I was going to use a Tommy Boy reference to looking inside of a cow to talking about his dad selling meat to butchers, but I was told not to, but I couldn't resist. I had to throw some Tommy Boy in there. What I would like to do is, because Jennifer and everybody did a great job of talking about the systems, and I agreed with everything that they said, pretty much summarizes it. But I think a deep dive into the system to show everybody what it actually looks like in the pipeline, in the automation, could be a benefit. One thing I learned that when I was shopping around and trying out different systems for months at a time is that you don't really get to know what you know what it has until you actually get in there and use it. So we're just going to give you a brief look of a deep dive inside the system. So this is where the new business experience begins in our agency with InsuredMine. So this would be for walk-in customers and call-ins. If it was a customer on a web lead, it would automatically go into the pipeline. But since somebody calls in or walks in, we're going to create a deal card, and this is where we begin. We would start by clicking the little plus button on the lead intake gather form, stage, sorry, and then just completing the information in the deal card. So now you're creating a deal card, but before you go into the deal card, it gives you the option to choose how much or all of the automation that's available. So if you don't have any of the customer's information, you would obviously want the entire automation to go through, because what it's going to do, it's going to send text messages, emails, and you can send voice drops in a combination of so many days at a time to reach out to the customer to gather that information. But if you talk to the customer on the phone, or then they're in the office, obviously you don't want that communication to go out in automation. You look pretty silly. So you can actually turn off bits and pieces of the automation. You can turn it all off. We actually asked them to add the disable all button, because this example here has got about 16 different steps in it. So if we just wanted to keep one piece of it, like the checklist, then we would have to turn every single piece or turn every single toggle off and just leave that one piece. But by disabling all and then switching the checklist, it's a lot more convenient. Thanks, Larry. All right, so this is inside the deal card. I've highlighted the stages on the top with the arrows pointing to them, the working stage, quoted, issue, waiting for signatures, won and lost. Each stage, you can set up an automation in, which we have done. So every single stage we have a built-in automation. It could be a combination of checklists, task, communication going to the agent, and then of course, communication going out to the customer in a lot of different ways, emails, texts, voice drops. So what you're looking at now is on the left side, the arrows pointing to the green buttons. These are the quick action buttons on the left side. So if you want to send a quick text, an email, make a call to the customer, do a voice drop, put a note or a file in, you just click these buttons. And then in the center, you have the yellow highlighted buttons or the view buttons, but they've actually incorporated the action buttons with inside of the view now. So you can do both inside of the view buttons. Next, please. Thank you. Okay, this is the working quoting stage, which is set up to send notifications to the agent, reminding them to take action on the deal card every day it's in the stage. This is a great reminder for agents not to forget about the deal card sitting too long. I'd actually recommend that in every stage. The quoted stage automation will send emails, voice drops, text to the client, taking their temperature after sending them a quote. So if they don't respond to you right away, this automation will go on for several days until you get some kind of a response from the customer. The checklist will remind the agent to turn off the automation. They communicate with the client. As soon as the customer calls, they will turn off the automation. You see up in the top right-hand corner, it gives you that option. Issue the policy stage has a checklist with important reminders. The checklist is a very valuable tool that we use. When I first started using the checklist, I loved it. And I got a little crazy with it. Like Jennifer said, you can overcomplicate things. I was definitely overcomplicating things. I was making the checklist mandatory. So they would be required to check every single thing on the checklist before they could go to the next stage. Well, we've loosened that up quite a bit, and we've just left the ready to bind checklist required. So they have to check everything off on this list before they can go to the next stage. Waiting for signature stage is a checklist and reminders. I'm sorry, that was for the previous stage. This is just a bunch of tasks reminding the agent to follow up on their signatures, make sure they're received, file and send any trailing docs that may be important and have to be sent to the carrier. Okay, so this is the completed sales new business checklist. Not sure why this one's in here. Nope, just go to the next one, sorry. All right, this is our favorite stage, the one stage. This is where everybody wants to go. This is where the onboarding begins. So the agent wins, they close the deal, they're going to click the one button, move it to the one stage, and automation begins sending to the customer onboarding, welcoming them to the agency, letting them know our contacts information, tell them all the benefits of our agency. Then it's going to ask them for some Google reviews and some referrals. Next, please. Okay, so what I really like about InsuredMine is that with all the automations you have built in the pipeline, you can click on the automation button that's highlighted. Next, please. And then you can see an overview of all your automations. And then you can click on any automation. Next, please. And you can get the analytics for what was going on. You can see first and foremost, make sure that if it's supposed to be off, make sure it's off. And if it's not, you just simply click the stop button. But also you get analytics of what the email did. If they opened it, if they clicked it, there was a complaint that bounced. You can use this information. Very helpful. Next, please. Okay, so this is where you stop the automation, and it will show you that the automation is stopped. Next, please. Okay, now the customer service pipeline. And there are many pipelines. You can make as many pipelines as you want. We've got several. And again, in every single automation, every single stage, we have automation built into it in a lot of different combinations. So the customer service experience for the customer is going to begin in the account 360. This is where the customer calls in on the phone, or we can receive an email from them, and the customer service is going to create a deal card. So they're going to go to the policy as shown here. They're going to click on the 3 dots at the end and they're going to click on create a deal. The deal card pops up. Most of the customer information has already been pre-populated since you're already in the customer's account 360. So now you just have to choose what pipeline, what stage, assign the agent, put a description of what the customer wants. And of course, you're going to want to start the automation. So you leave that checked. The automation, again, is going to give you the opportunity to turn it off or disable certain pieces of it if you'd like. We're going to leave it on because this is going, the first notification is sending the notification to the agent that's going to be taking care of this. Next, please. Inside the deal card, again, you've got working stages. You've got the working, waiting on client, completed, and follow-up. Next, please. Once you move the deal card to the working stage, the customer gets an automatic email and text letting them know who is working on their change, their request, and letting them know that we're going to be transparent and they don't have to do anything else besides maybe sign an e-sign document, which we will probably be sending them. So we're setting the expectations to the customer. Then this is the automation for the, okay, so this is sending tasks to the, if it's in the waiting stage, maybe waiting something from the customer, maybe waiting on the carrier underwriting, this is sending reminders to the agent that the deal card is still sitting there and you need to do something with it very fast. Finally, we complete the service task that was requested. The customer gets an automatic email letting them know their service has been completed and they asking them for a Google review. They will also get a text reminder as well. So once again, you can look at the automation and the analytics. Next, please. Okay, some unique features of the deal card that I really like is that they have the access to go to the account 360, which is the main customer's account, where you see that it says open in QQ Catalyst. That's our AMS. They added the open QQ or open AMS button in the account 360 when we first came back to InsuredMine, and then it was not in the deal card. So one of my new producers actually brought it to my attention because we listen to our people too. In fact, I encourage them to tell me where your pain points are. And she wanted to know why that button wasn't the deal card because that's where she's working all the time. I said, you know, that makes a lot of sense. I asked InsuredMine, and I think by the end of the day, they had it in there. That's how good InsuredMine is. Okay, so we're going to click on the account 360 just to show you an overview of the customers. This is where everything is. This is where no matter what deal card you had your communication, or if you had communication going inside of a contact, everything ends up in the account 360. The notes, all the tasks, the communications, emails, text, files, everything ends up here. So this is a very important place. If you want to see all the activity, what's been going on in the whole customer experience, this is where you're going to start looking. It'll also show the deal cards. Click on the communication. The reason I'm showing this is because it's going to be relevant in a second. I'm just showing you these. This is the communication from the deal card, ended up in the account 360. This was an email that went to the customer as part of the automation. Next, please. And these were some notes that I created, just tests that were created in the deal card are now in the account 360. Next, please. And the task. Let's go to the next one. Okay, so now we're going to click that very convenient open in QQ Catalyst button to show you what that looks like. Everything that we just looked at in the InsuredMine is immediately synchronized to the QQ. Under the task, next. Notes, all the text messages appear in notes, as well as the notes. So if you're going to be at sea, you should be on the biggest and best ship, right? The bottom line is, doesn't matter how good of tools you have and how good of technology stack you have, you're going to get what you put in. I think Jennifer said it best. This is what really stuck in my head was, you can definitely overcomplicate things. There's a lot of stuff in InsuredMine, and we did the same. I took the same philosophy you did as far as the training goes for our staff, where we taught in micro micro chunks, micro bits, because there's so much of it. And InsuredMine actually gives you the ability to limit certain things on the dashboard for everybody to see, so you're not overwhelming them. So you always want to start off in little pieces as far as training goes. It can be a little painful for everybody at first because it's new and there's a lot to it, and it can seem very overwhelming. Larry and I spent many months working on this before we even open it up to the rest of the office. We want to make sure that we had answers. We knew what we were talking about. We knew how it worked. Any pain points that we found that were weak areas, we would communicate with InsuredMine almost on a daily basis, sometimes actually 3 or 4 times a day. And they're very quick to respond. Using the chat, I'm communicating with those guys constantly. And like I said, a lot of times they'll make things happen very quickly. Larry, where you at? Get back here. Oh boy, did I lose Larry? I can't lose my tech guy.
I'm still with you, Jen. You did a very well job explaining everything.
Started out like a champ, right?
Right.
Thank God you were here. Oh my gosh. So I guess we can open it up to questions now. Anybody have any questions, concerns? You want to throw something at me? Where's the chat at? Oh, sorry. Oh, Tamara says I can't see anything. That's so 15 minutes ago, Tamara. Okay. I see you just go right. All right.
So this
What are
is,
the, go ahead.
oh, go ahead, Don.
No, go ahead. If you want to ask that question.
So this presentation, it helps us also to have another overview how your agency adjunct is using InsuredMine. We haven't seen how Shepherd, Simply IOM, Deeley, Statford have been using InsuredMine, and how the consistency of communicating with the InsuredMine team and also with your team, building your process, how it's going to help you to achieve your results and the metrics that you want to have.
Yes, and I want the biggest takeaway that I think anybody can take from this, everybody should take away from this. If you listen to all the presenters, the one thing that's common, the common thing that I've heard from everybody is that InsuredMine has got a lot to offer, but it's so diverse that everybody can build it any way they want. You can literally shape this thing, the system, to the way that you want it to be. The pipelines. I mean, I've seen some of the pipelines I saw yesterday was blowing my mind. I was like, wow, that's a great idea. And the collaboration of these type of events, the iMug, I mean, it gives us an opportunity, even though we think we know a lot. Every time I sit in on this, I'm like, I watched Jennifer's when she was in the first iMug, and I picked up, I didn't know about the automated labels. And I was like, my mind was blown up. I couldn't wait to start using them. So we've been going label crazy on the automations. And every day it seems like we discover something new. And it's awesome. It's kind of like Christmas. You're opening up new, now you're talking about these new forms, and I can't wait to see those. So I'm excited, but it's just, you have to have your mind has to be open to the possibilities of, just think of how you would want your agent to be in your agency to be in a perfect world. And then just kind of go down from there and see how close you can make it.
That's right. So now Jennifer is going to present, and after Jennifer presents, we are going to answer TV questions and also thought questions.
All right.
Let me know if you can see my screen.
I can see it.
Perfect.
All right. So can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, we
All
can.
right. Well, my name is Jennifer Powell. I'm the Operations Analyst at Deeley Insurance Group located in Willard, Maryland. I'll just talk a little bit about our agency quickly before I get started. So we are about 50, 60 employees. We're located on the eastern shore of Maryland, about 10 minutes from the beaches, the Atlantic Ocean. And we specialize in We write commercial and personal lines insurance, and we specialize in community associations, transportation, construction, hospitality. So we started using InsuredMine in January, full force. We started our conversations with InsuredMine in November and onboarded it to our team January 1. And we did it in bits and pieces. So in this particular session, Montserrat sent me some questions. So we're just going to kind of go through how we use the system and what makes us what makes things work for us. So what makes Deeley successful with InsuredMine? We have the want to use the system to the max capability. Okay, so this system is loaded with tools and different pieces that you can implement. So that's always in the back of our head. How can we use it to its full capacity? And like John said, you get excited when a new release is added because it's always something new you can add, and it's super important that you are open to making adjustments as you move through the system. So one of our core values here at Deeley is welcome and cultivate change. So we realize that today we do it one way today, tomorrow we might do it a different way. It's just part of evolving as you move forward. Our entire team, starting with the hiring process, we hire people who fit our core values and our molds. So we have the willingness, every employee here, to accept the change in our processes and an understanding that it's going to be the most efficient option that we're building for them. And they do have a say in the build. Get to the next one. Okay, our user support resources. We're successful with this because we're always there to help navigate our users. So, started with the build, leadership built it. We worked together. I did all the back end building of it and constantly updating. And there's always someone internally to help who knows the system to the extent where we don't always have to go to IT for a question. We have the in-house support for our users, which makes it easier for them to use it. And then again, being on the same page across our agencies. So expectations are set on how we use InsuredMine, and we all have that same end goal, that we're trying to reach. So that helps us have a successful use of InsuredMine. Okay, the next slide. So how did consistency help you build your process? So we had consistency in our mind the whole time we were building. So we needed consistency across our agency with the systems we use. So we now have all of our users in a combination of AMS 360 and InsuredMine. So that was super important to us to, there's lots of plug and play. There's lots of different options out there for insurance technology, and they're extremely, extremely helpful. But our two main systems that we were able to build our process around our AMS 360 and InsuredMine. And then we needed our data input to be consistent. So our workflows and processes were built around the same data pieces that we needed. In both commercial lines, personal lines, all of our users are required to input data to keep it consistent. And then consistency helped us develop a roadmap to achieve our end goals, which again goes back to building our processes. We want our processes to make sense, full circle, to reach our goals at the end of what we're trying to achieve with our system. And then also leaders' expectations. So, the leaders have expectations on how they want our users to use the system. So our leaders have to be consistent. So it flows from the top down, and they're setting the example and doing what the users are expected to do as well. All right, how did Deeley help their team adopt? Okay, so before we talked about the pain points before InsuredMine. So this came from our leaders' point of view, it came from our salespeople, it came from our client relations agents that work the accounts after they're bound. We had a list of pain points, and then we explained to our team how InsuredMine fixes those pain points or helps ease those pain points. And then I talked about this before in the other session, but baby steps. You have to just really look at it and take your time working through the system, because it can get overwhelming. Like John pointed out, a good thing. You can hide certain views from users so it doesn't overwhelm them when they look in the system for the first time. If you keep it simple and you just move through the small pieces, it will eventually, come full circle, and they'll understand the why more so. And then small group trainings. You can click one more time if you would. So this is important. So the small group trainings help it, it helps keep things streamlined with a small group, because you're able to keep the focus. But also our trainer, me being one of them, we helped build the workflow. So at any time we can train any users, any user group, and answer any questions when they come about. So that's important. Sometimes, you train on a system, but the trainer doesn't work in it every day. I'm one of those people. I don't work a certain role in the system. I'm in InsuredMine 24/7, but I don't do what everyone else does. So I know how to do what everyone else does because I helped build it, and I continue to train on it as I go forward. And I think that's super important. And then we listened to the user feedback. So they got in there, they started the process that we built, and then many times have come back and said, could we have this different? Does this make sense? So we listened to their feedback, and we made changes based on how it affects our entire agency. And then ongoing support. This is super important as well. So they need to, users need to understand that they're not going to have a new system thrown at them, brand new, they know nothing about it, and just kind of given a process manual and say, here, go to town. We don't do that. We are here to support our team 24/7 on the system. Okay, so what is the differentiator that IM provides for us to achieve our goals? So it's hard to name just one item. So we had quite a few pain points. So I'm going to name a couple. So dashboards providing analytics. Metrics are everything when you're trying to achieve your goals. I spend most of my time in dashboards. Dashboards helps with sales production. It helps seeing, open deals. It gives us a leadership perspective of their team overall. So dashboards are huge for us. We have not had them in any other system until InsuredMine. And then integration. Integration was huge for us. So now we have integration between our CRM and workflow management system to our system of record. So this links our entire agency of users together, regardless of what department they are in. And then the leadership overviews. So leadership overviews of production, workflow, and other key data components is, again, something we did not have prior to InsuredMine. So it really helps them look at where their team is and helps them adjust as we move forward. And what is Deeley working on now? So I said in the prior call, we're about 75% using the system to its technology based, but we have about 90% of our employees in it. So right now, our most recent item we started working on is a claims pipeline. So we're trying to get our claims team in there, but mainly a leadership overview to kind of see which claims are hot and important and ones we need to touch. And more automation. So automation is super helpful, and we just want to do more of a deep dive into that, and I can use John's examples for what he showed today. That was extremely helpful. So automation is a huge time saver. Like I said, we use it in labels tremendously. That there's many steps that involve the label automation. And then more engagement and communication. So this is where it comes into play, where I said our data, we needed to get it clean, our contact information. So we've taken the time to clean up those email addresses and phone numbers. So we want to get more engagement to our clients and be able to communicate with them easier. And then ongoing management of data cleanliness and value. This is something that I actually check weekly. So we talk about, the engagement and communication piece it's important that, you know, we've set the guidelines and the expectations, but we need to monitor it. So that is an ongoing item that we do. And like I check tags every Friday. I go to the contacts page and look for empty tags just to make sure they don't get, you know, missed. And I go to the user and just say, hey, here's a reminder, please input the tag on this deal, on this account, contact. So they do that. If there's labels missing, we look at that. I can see which labels are missing in the deals by labels dashboard. So we get them to add that because we use labels to be able to see what we've found by specific niches. So it's just a matter of taking the time and having someone overlook the data every week. And so it doesn't get super overwhelming or behind. Yep, and another key piece to that. So this is a big deal, and I talk about going full circle. So certain data fields integrate into the management systems, but they also integrate into other areas of InsuredMine. So that helps navigate really key components of your business. So it's important that, you know, a salesperson understand why they need to tag that contact in InsuredMine, why they need to input when they add a new deal. They need to, you know, input the mailing address, the contact phone numbers, the emails, because once we sync it to our management system, if those fields are empty, they're going to be empty in our management system. So we need to really, you know, we focus on getting the data input from the get-go as soon as they know it, get it in the deal card, to as much as you can fill it with the details, because it again goes to our management system. You don't want it to go through empty. But again, the tags, you know, salespeople, why do I have to tag it? Well, it's because then we can email the niches really easily if we have a electrician tag on it. So there's just a lot of key pieces with the data. And I think, Montserrat, that is all I had.
Yes, that's right. So thank you for sharing these questions and also how Deeley is using InsuredMine and the adoption that Deeley is having in InsuredMine. If you have any question about Deeley and John, please let us know.
So there's quite a few questions in the chat, but it looks like they're being answered.
Yeah. So GB asked about the automations integrated with underwriting as part of your deal card, John.
Yeah. Yes, we actually, it's funny that they asked that because we just started creating some automations for the underwriting, and we were kind of limited because part of the automation we want to send was an email to specific underwriters. And the limit that was set in the email setup for the automation was you have two choices to where the email could be sent to. It would be the contact or the lead source. So I got on a chat with Rohan and I asked if we could open that up and have an option to put others so we could put specific underwriter emails in there. Within a couple of days, in fact, they just got back with me yesterday and said, yeah, they're going to make that a new feature coming up in about 2 weeks. So I'm very happy about that. I did find a workaround. You can just simply create a source with the underwriter's email as a source, but it requires extra steps. You have to add the source to the deal card, then you have to throw the label on, but it works.
Well, I also think having it set up the way that you are wanting it, it helps keep your data clean. If that makes sense to you. That way you're not using source for something else other than it being sourced from, sorry, from that particular, you know, person, entity, what have you.
I'm glad you and actually Jennifer brought that up quite a few times, and I can't stress how important the clean data is because it can get out of hand really quick, especially when you have new users and, you know, being a new user yourself, when you're first, you know, playing with the system, it doesn't take long for it to get really dirty. So you definitely want to try to maintain that from the very beginning, so that way you don't have a big cleanup project like I'm actually going to be involved with pretty soon.
Yeah,
So
and that's where it goes back to, like, you know, John, you just mentioned like chatting the support group about, these asks. It's super important to do that because, you talk about a data cleanup. We've used fields in the past in AMS 360 that weren't really technically the field because it was non-existent. Then they added the field. So then you have to clean it up. So it's like, if we can get it added before you start the process of inputting, you're going to save yourself a lot of time.
Exactly. I agree 100%.
So, excuse me, both Jennifer and John and Larry as well, you guys would be what Roush would consider a super user. So I know, I'm sure some of you know this as well, in order to learn a new skill or learn a language, not, be an expert in a language, but to learn it so that you can speak it or to do an activity, takes about 20 hours. How long would you say it took you, which is about 45 minutes a day over a course of a month? How long would you say it took you guys to become proficient where you feel like you were using it and you would be that super user that Roush qualifies you guys as?
I could answer that real short. I can tell you that most of the things that I know, that I've learned, the things that I value the most, I usually stumble upon. I find them by accident. And when you find something that's, just like, wow, it just gets your attention, it doesn't take long. I mean, as soon as you realize what it can do, you start diving in and trying to use all the different possibilities you could possibly use it for. And I don't think it takes long at all because there's a lot, but it's pretty user friendly. I have to say the system is very user friendly. Once you come across a new feature and you start realizing what it doesn't take long to figure it out. It really doesn't.
Yeah, and I would say like, so I'm going to be real with you. Like in the beginning, when we first adopted the product, I was in it the whole day. Like I was, building and learning where different, pieces are. I can pretty much click around with my eyes closed now because I know where everything is. Like it's just a matter of, repetition, just like you learn anything. You're in it enough, it starts to click. Then as you're in it and you build things out and you make changes, like John said, something new comes about and it's like, oh, I can use that. We're going to implement it. Let's try to get this implemented. So it really makes your wheels are constantly turning. And that's just a unique thing about InsuredMine because you don't see tech systems making the updates that they make as quick as they do them. And it's stuff that's helpful and it does. Once you get working in it, it just becomes almost second nature to you. It's hours. I mean, hours and hours and hours of just being in it. But the build part really helps.
And I think it's intimidating to some folks, especially when you're not, you say you're not that strong when it comes to technology. You either get your husband or your wife to do the VCR for you. And yes, VCR. I've seen guys who've had to have their wife set up the VCR for them when they get a new VCR. And so I'm thinking a long time ago, actually, I can't even imagine DVD players trying to set those guys up. Not me, but the people I'm talking about. It was my uncle, so I'll just throw him under the bus. But, for those individuals who aren't, consider themselves tech savvy, it can be daunting. And, really, you just have to get in there and do it because you're not going to break anything. You're only going to learn.
Right.
And, I've always had this philosophy. If I'm in the agency and you retail storefront and we get a new piece of technology and I'm going to jump in and use it, if it takes me more than 30 minutes to figure out how to do my normal daily task using that solution, it's not me, it's the solution. And that's one of the things I do like about the way InsuredMine's laid out. It's intuitive. There's a lot of functionality that you may not be comfortable using because you don't have the background or experience. But when it comes to like simple things, managing a workflow for your sales, entering your account information, finding out where to do that, you don't need training to do that. You can navigate the system fairly easy. It's setting up those, advanced, workflows and automations where it takes a little bit more experience, but basic stuff, easy to figure out.
And the support page is really helpful to set up something simple too. So you can have that on one screen and have the system on another and really work through it. It's one of the easiest, it's one of the easiest systems I've ever, as an admin user. It's so easy. Like it really is. And I'm not just saying that. Like it's very user friendly. It doesn't look like it's from the 70s. Like it's web based. It's, you know, that's important nowadays. And you know, because insurance tech is behind, you know, in a lot of ways. So this is definitely bringing it forward, and it's definitely an easy system.
Great segue, Jennifer. Bringing it forward. Let's go ahead and move forward. Thank you both for giving us a wealth of information, but let's go ahead and move forward to the next section.
Before we move to the next session, I want to mention one thing. Young and Deeley are using QQ Catalyst and AMS 360. So they have two-way integration. That means that when they create a contact in InsuredMine, it's also going to be created in QQ. If they create a contact in QQ, it's going to be created in the InsuredMine. And they can upload files and see the emails, contact, notes, and also the policies. Depends on the AMS that you are using, it's the data that you are going to have here at InsuredMine. But also, as Deeley mentioned, well, Jennifer and John mentioned, it's that your data has to be clean in order to achieve your results and to have good metrics and follow up with your clients. So just remember that your data has to be clean. And when you start with InsuredMine, you also have to clean your data in your AMS. InsuredMine do not clean the data. So I think that's it. We are going to the next slide. The next presentation, I mean. Thanks, Jennifer, and thanks, John.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Just one quick correction on that, Montserrat. It says one way for Hawksoft as well as Nextshore. I think it's one of the previous slide, or you know, I think the way it was designed is to be more, I would say, conservative way to say that, you know, we are doing some two-way integrations today with Nextshore and Hawksoft both. Yes, is it in comparison to where AMS 360 QQ or NowCerts or some of the others are? Maybe not, but it's a two-way integration to a larger extent. So, but it's still work in progress. Just wanted to clarify that. All right, I am excited to the next session here. You know, it's one of my favorite that I'm waiting to hear. So go ahead, Don, introduce our next speaker. Can we switch on to the next session here?
Yes, we need to go ahead and walk down the hall to the next session. Okay.